Why high-performing men over 40 are burning out and don't even know it. You built a career that most people would envy. You've made hard decisions under pressure. You've delivered results. You've outworked the room for 20 years. But lately, something's off. Your focus isn't as sharp as it used to be. You're exhausted by noon but can't sleep at night. Your patience in meetings is razor thin. You've put on weight despite watching what you eat. And that competitive drive that got you here? It's quieter than it's ever been. You've told yourself it's just a busy season, that you'll reset when things slow down. But things never slow down, and you're starting to wonder if this is just what 40 looks like. It's not. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening inside your body and what to do about it. Welcome, I'm Tamala, and this channel is built for men and women over 40 who refuse to accept that decline is inevitable, whether that's in the boardroom, the gym, or their personal lives. Today, we're doing a deep dive on cortisol burnout, specific to men. What it is, why high-achieving professionals are especially vulnerable, what it's silently doing to your performance and health, and the concrete steps you can take to reverse it. I'll also have a free guide for you at the end, a 7-day reset protocol built specifically around the demands of a professional lifestyle. Stay with me. Let's establish a foundation because cortisol is one of the most misunderstood hormones in men's health. Cortisol is a steroid hormone produced by your adrenal glands. It's released in response to stress and low blood sugar, and critically, it's not inherently bad. You need it to function. Without cortisol, you couldn't get out of bed, handle pressure, or make decisions under uncertainty. In the morning, cortisol spikes naturally. This is called the cortisol awakening response. It sharpens focus, mobilizes energy, and primes you for high performance. That mental clarity you feel first thing in the morning, that's cortisol working correctly. Throughout the day, healthy cortisol follows a specific curve, elevated in the morning, gradually tapering through the afternoon, dropping low by evening so your body can recover and sleep. Here's where it goes wrong for professionals. Your career demands sustained cognitive output, high-stakes decisions, constant connectivity, and an identity that's tightly wrapped around performance. Every meeting that runs late, every high-pressure deliverable, every unanswered email at 10 p.m. Each of these triggers a cortisol response. And when cortisol is triggered too frequently, over too many years, without adequate recovery, the system breaks. That breakdown is cortisol burnout, and it doesn't discriminate by title or income. Why high-achieving men over 40 are a perfect storm. This isn't random. There are specific reasons men in this demographic are especially vulnerable. First, testosterone is already in decline. Starting around age 30, testosterone drops roughly 1% per year. By your mid-40s, that's significant. And cortisol and testosterone have a direct inverse relationship. Chronically elevated cortisol suppresses testosterone production. You are accelerating a decline that's already underway. Second, your identity is tied to your output. High performers don't give themselves permission to rest. Rest feels like falling behind. Slowing down feels like weakness. That psychological stance keeps your nervous system in a perpetual state of threat detection, which means perpetual cortisol output. The very mindset that built your career is now working against your biology. Third, your recovery habits are the first things to get cut. When a deadline hits or travel picks up, what goes first? Sleep, the gym, real meals, time to decompress. These aren't luxuries. They are the primary mechanisms your body uses to clear cortisol and regenerate. Strip them out, and you have no drainage system for the stress load you're carrying. Fourth, high achievers are often the last to recognize the problem. You've trained yourself to push through discomfort. You normalize fatigue. You reframe exhaustion as dedication. By the time the symptoms become undeniable, The body has been running a cortisol deficit for years. The symptoms, are you experiencing these? I want you to honestly track how many of these apply to you right now. 1. Fatigue that sleep doesn't fix. 7 or 8 hours and you still wake up unrefreshed. That's not a sleep problem. That's your adrenal system failing to reset overnight. 2. Wired but exhausted. Depleted all day, but your mind races the moment you try to wind down. Cortisol is elevated when it should be falling, a classic rhythm disruption. 3. Cognitive decline, focus, memory, decision quality. Finding it harder to sustain deep work, forgetting details you would have caught before, decisions feeling more effortful. Chronic cortisol physically damages the hippocampus, the region of the brain governing memory and executive function. This is not aging, this is a hormone problem. 4. Visceral fat accumulation, especially around the midsection. Cortisol directly signals fat storage and drives insulin resistance. Men with chronically elevated cortisol gain belly fat regardless of diet. If your waistline is expanding and you can't explain it, cortisol is likely a factor. 5. Shortened emotional tolerance, snapping in conversations, low patience in meetings, disproportionate reactions to minor friction. Your nervous system has no buffer left. It's running at capacity. 6. Diminished competitive drive. The hunger that pushed you forward feels muted. You're going through the motions. This isn't burnout in the casual sense. It's your brain protecting you from further depletion by reducing motivation. 7. Low libido and testosterone symptoms. Cortisol suppresses the hormonal cascade that produces testosterone. Less drive, less confidence, less assertiveness, all downstream effects. 8. Frequent illness or slow recovery. Cortisol suppresses immune function over time. If you're getting sick more often or taking longer to bounce back, your immune system is compromised. 9. Digestive issues, bloating, reflux, irregular digestion. Cortisol disrupts gut motility and damages the gut lining, common in men under sustained professional stress. If you identified with 4 or more of those, you are not experiencing normal aging. You are experiencing cortisol dysregulation, and it is addressable. What's actually happening in your body? Here's the physiology, accurate but practical. Your stress response system is called the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. It's your body's executive stress management chain of command. Threat is perceived. Hypothalamus fires a signal, pituitary releases a hormone, adrenal glands produce cortisol, body enters action mode. This system is extraordinary for short-term acute stress. The fundamental problem is that your body cannot distinguish between a physical threat and a professional one, a difficult board presentation, an aggressive client, a high-stakes negotiation. The signal to your adrenal glands is identical to being chased by a predator. Your nervous system doesn't read context, it reads threat. When that threat signal is constant, which professional life ensures, one of 2 trajectories unfolds. Chronic cortisol elevation, persistent sympathetic overdrive. Inflammation rises, testosterone tanks, sleep architecture deteriorates, cognitive performance erodes, fat accumulates, adrenal fatigue, HPA axis suppression. After years of overproduction, output drops. Now you're dealing with profound fatigue, depression, immune collapse, and complete loss of resilience. The executive who suddenly can't perform under pressure he once absorbed without thought. Both are serious. Both are reversible. Neither will resolve on its own. What actually works, fixes built for a professional life. Let me be direct. No supplement protocol fixes a systems-level problem. The inputs have to change. Here's how to do that without dismantling your career. 1. Non-negotiable sleep architecture. Sleep is when cortisol clears and testosterone replenishes. This is not optional recovery. It is core performance maintenance. Consistent sleep and wake times regulate your cortisol rhythm faster than any other intervention. Guard your schedule. Cap alcohol. It fragments sleep architecture even at low doses. Aim for 65 to 68 degrees in your room. No screens 60 minutes before bed. Treat this like a board-level priority. 2. Nutritional strategy for cortisol management. Skipping breakfast or aggressive intermittent fasting spikes cortisol in men who are already dysregulated. Eat a protein and fat-forward breakfast within 90 minutes of waking. Eliminate refined sugar and processed carbohydrates. They trigger blood sugar crashes that spike cortisol midday. Prioritize magnesium, leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, dark chocolate. Magnesium is directly involved in cortisol regulation and is chronically depleted in high-stress men. 3. Train smart, not hard. Daily high-intensity training is a cortisol accelerant for men in burnout. Intense exercise acutely spikes cortisol, useful when recovered, damaging when depleted. Shift to 2 to 3 well-structured strength sessions per week. Add 20 to 30 minutes of daily walking. Walking is one of the most clinically validated cortisol-lowering interventions available, and it's underutilized by professionals because it doesn't feel like enough. It is. 4. Deliberate recovery as a performance protocol. 10 to 15 minutes of intentional stillness, diaphragmatic breathing, meditation, disconnection measurably activates your parasympathetic nervous system and lowers cortisol. This isn't wellness culture. This is neuroscience. Navy SEALs train breath control specifically to modulate cortisol response under extreme operational stress. Frame this as performance optimization, not relaxation. 5. Address the structural stressors, lifestyle changes manage symptoms. Real resolution requires honest evaluation of what's driving the cortisol load in the first place. Is it an unsustainable role? A dysfunctional work culture you've normalized? A leadership style built entirely on urgency? Cortisol is biological feedback. It's telling you something needs to change at the structural level, not just the behavioral one. When to seek professional support. If your symptoms are severe, particularly profound fatigue, cognitive impairment, or depression, consult a physician. Request a cortisol saliva panel, not a standard blood draw. A saliva panel measures cortisol at 4 points across the day, revealing your full rhythm profile rather than a single snapshot. Seek out a functional medicine physician or men's health specialist who understands HPA axis dysfunction. You want a clinician who will investigate the system, not simply prescribe to the symptom. High performers deserve a standard of care that matches the complexity of what they're carrying. If what you heard today resonated, if you recognized your own symptoms, your own patterns, I want to give you a practical starting point. I've created a free guide, the Executive Cortisol Reset, a 7-day protocol to reclaim your energy and cognitive edge. It translates everything in this video into a structured, realistic daily framework designed around the demands of a professional schedule, not a wellness retreat. The link is in the description. Download it, implement it this week, and notice what shifts. It costs you nothing but the decision to take this seriously. The men who built something significant didn't do it by running on empty. Sustained performance requires a functional body and a regulated nervous system. What you're experiencing isn't an inevitable feature of your age or your ambition. It's a signal from a system that's been pushed past its recovery capacity. You can address it. The question is whether you will. If this video added value, share it with someone in your network who needs to hear it. Subscribe for weekly content on men's health and performance after 40. I'll see you in the next one.